Well, Frankenstein is obviously very popular right now because we just had Guillermo del Toro's adaptation on Netflix this past November. And now in March, we are getting Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride. And so, since all this is happening, I thought I'd go and talk about not my favorite Frankenstein movie. Heck, this isn't even technically an adaptation of Mary Shelley's story. It's I'll explain later, but it's just one of the wildest Frankenstein movies, and I kind of like it. So today I'm talking about Roger Corman's Frankenstein Unbound.
Roger Cormans, Frankenstein, Unbound.
So the origin of this film's creation was Thomas Mount, a producer of like a few Roman Polanski films, Pirates, Frantic, and Death and the Maiden, approached Roger Corman with the idea to get him back into the director's chair. After not making a movie for about like 20 years. The last film he directed was like in 1978. It was called Death Sport, but he went uncredited with that film. And his last movie that he actually directed with his name official was Von Richthofen. I cannot pronounce this. Von Richthofen and Brown, which I looked up the plot. It's like a Red Baron movie, which was made like in 1971. So he hadn't directed a movie in like a long time. He really like Roger Corman. Look, he has made like a lot of movies. He's directed a lot of movies, but he produced a lot of movies, both as producer and executive producer. And even if like, it's not directed, it's still like something to kind of like look into if it's got Roger Corman's name as a producer, because like because like no matter what, you're gonna get like a kind of fun, low budget schlock kind of film. Just like every movie, like I think like Slumber Party Massacre, like it's just called Roger Corman's like Slumber Party Massacre instead of like the director's name. Or better example, the unreleased Fantastic Four. No one calls it Ole Sassoon's The Fantastic Four. It's always Roger Corman's unreleased Fantastic Four, and he's like an executive producer at most on this with that movie. And at this point, like Corman's career, I think he started off with working for American International Pictures, and then he moved on to making his own company from the ground up, New World Pictures, and then he created New Horizon Films at this. I think that's what he was doing at this point. Anyway, in order for Corman to come back to the director's chair, he wanted to direct a really strong script, and so he looked into writers, one of them being Wes Craven of all people, to craft something original, before ultimately having F.X. Feeney, who wrote The Big Brass Ring with William Hurt, who was in another Frankenstein movie. But he chose him to adapt Brian Aldiss' novel Frankenstein Unbound. The more famous book from this guy that got turned into movie was Steven Spielberg / Stanley Kubrick's AI. A little more famous than this movie. But yeah, that's the book that Corman chose to adapt, and he worked on the script with Feeney, and where to start with this movie? So it's about John Hurt of from Alien, The Elephant Man, and Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. There's a character called Joe Buchanan who creates a device that will like a laser that will make people disappear, but its issue is that it creates portals, warpholes or something, and he ends up going right through it and then lands back in Geneva, Switzerland in the 1700s, or is it 1800s? I don't know, but it's during the middle of Frankenstein, and sees all of it happen. When he first arrives, he meets Raul Julia as Dr. Victor Frankenstein, who's amazing in this movie. It's like a year before he did Addams Family, so this is kind of like one of his last movies, and he's really good. I like Raul Julia in this movie and in the first Addams Family movie. I still haven't seen the second one, but he's really great in this movie. Should have been in it a little more. And then he wakes up to see that there's this trial going on for the character of Justine, who's accused of killing Frankenstein's brother. And then during this court scene, Joe sees Mary Shelley.
That is Lord Byron's mistress.
The Lord Byron lives here in Geneva.
Across the lake in Sim, with the poet Shelley and Mary Godwin.
You mean Mary Shelley?
They are not married.
Perhaps not. But she's a great writer.
And then once Justine is guilty of murdering William, Joe then follows Victor into the woods, where we finally see the monster, who is played by Nick Brimble, who would the following year be in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. That's the few info I got on the actor. But he looks really cool as the monster. It's actually like the most original like look for the monster we've gotten probably since like the Hammer Frankenstein. I like the look. It's just unique. I like they swapped out like the bolts on the side of his neck for these like cool discs that are in his head. It's a really unique look.
You murdered my brother.
Murdered?
You stopped his life.
Joe Buchanan and Frankenstein, they then talk about how they have to they have to save Justine, and Frankenstein writes a letter. And I also forgot to mention, Joe Buchanan comes to the past with his car, and Frankenstein is really into it. But Frankenstein tells Joe to bring this letter to Elizabeth directly, which Joe does, and then it turns out that Victor tricked him, and the letter just tells Elizabeth to get out of Geneva. And so they're not going to help Justine out, so Joe decides to go to the Byron and Shelley house. I thought they were I thought they were British, but I guess they sometimes live there. They go there. He meets Byron, who is played by Jason Patric, famous for Speed 2 Cruise Control, and The Lost Boys. I haven't actually seen either film. And they talk a little bit about, like, we start seeing there's the big, the warp hole cloud in the sky. And they also, like, Mary. Joe is trying to tempt fate by literally tell Mary about her book that she hasn't really like written because the story isn't technically finished in time. And they also say no to like helping Justine. So then Joe takes it upon himself to go free Justine, but it doesn't work. And then they dunk him in the water. So later, then he's then rescued by Mary Shelley, who he shows off her book, and again, you're really tempting fate there. And then they make out. I'm pretty sure Mary Shelley was like, like a teen or like a young adult, and is like middle-aged John Hurt, and they're getting it on. It's that's not right. Then we get to the scene where, it's different from the book. It's not like how the monster kills Elizabeth in the hotel room. Elizabeth goes by herself to find Victor, and then gets killed by the monster as usual. And yes, this is going to start sounding familiar. The monster asks Victor to make her bride, and it's a little different from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, but you can see where it's going. both movies use Elizabeth as the bride, which is not in the book, and they still go with it. Victor still is like, he's not really fazed by his fiance being killed. Goes with the whole plan, but this time they want to use Joe Buchanan's car, or like, you know, his device as the electricity to resurrect Elizabeth, and it does happen, but then they are blasted into like another like million years, because it opens up in 2031, which is 5 years from now as I'm recording this video. They teleport there, and then a little different from the Kenneth Branagh film. We see the bride, and also looks awesome. I love how the bride looks with like the mummy bandages, kind of similar to Bride of Frankenstein, and then is not really into the monster, but is into Victor, but then she kills herself. It's kind of similar to Kenneth Branagh. But then monster kills Victor, and then it sort of ends it's similar to how the book ends with Joe Buchanan chases the monster through the snow. I mean, it's not Victor, and there's no ship. They then go to kind of like I think it's meant to be the same facility at the beginning of the movie that Joe was at, and that's where he fights the monster. Monster gets killed, and that's kind of it. I love this movie as like this kind of low budget schlock Roger Corman film that only he can pull it off pretty well in a very fun, entertaining way. I should mention again, I didn't really say before, like, this was his last movie, and for like not really directing movies, it's pretty good from like what he was able to achieve. And I gotta like see what his like most expensive movie was, because I know because he made a film with William Shatner called The Intruder. I think it was like before Star Trek, and it's a movie about the civil rights movement, and I think that was like a pretty expensive movie that he invested in, and it was not a good hit. Okay, from what I'm seeing, the most expensive one was Battle Beyond the Stars, which if you watch my James Cameron video, I talked about how he worked on that movie. Okay, it only had a budget of $2 million. Okay, I'm not really sure about that. But it says here the budget was about $11.5 million, and it only made $335,000 at the box office. So this kind of wasn't like a great like comeback as a director financially. But like, this wasn't like, another thing to mention is like, this wasn't even like Roger Corman's own like film company. This wasn't Concord New Horizon. This was like Thomas Mount's like own production company that this was made under, and it was released under 20th Century Fox and domestically, and then Warner Brothers like internationally. So it's like one of the few times like they try to make like Roger Corman a little more mainstream, and like the production still feels a little cheap, but there's a little more effort, especially into like I feel like some of the costume designs are pretty good. The sets for like the period stuff, it's all really good. Because it doesn't make me like, I should really check out like his like Edgar Allan Poe period piece stuff, because like those actually do look pretty good. I mean, I did see The Terror, but The Terror isn't very good, but like the production design was a little interesting for that. So I should check out like The Raven and Mask of the Red Death. All those I should maybe look into. But yeah, I do like all that was put into by Roger Corman. And this probably has like maybe one of his like in a while, like his most like prestige cast. Like, you know, you got John Hurt, who's like, you know, he's the Elephant Man, and he's like famous for that. He's actually pretty good in this, even though like the character's just kind of weird, and how he's really just trying to like how he's going around like he's like driving around with his car, telling people about the future. Like, this is not going to make any paradox at all. But Raul Julia is amazing as Frankenstein, because like one of the down parts of this movie is that Frankenstein is barely in it. Like, he kind of leaves during like the middle of the movie, when it's just like Victor and Mary Shelley. I just wanted more of him, but I would just love just another like adaptation of Shelley's novel with Raul Julia as Frankenstein. He would be amazing in it. And I also just love the actor playing the monster. I mean, I like, you know, I like this scene.
Murdered.
But yeah, I do kind of like the interpretation of the monster. They make him a little like, because the idea of like the monster just, you know, just being born is sort of a little baby-like. So I kind of like that aspect of it. Like, he's very impulsive and such. Like, he's got a temper. I do kind of like that edge they give to the monster. And like, the plot is just kind of fun and stupid about just like a guy who's, if you couldn't like understand, like the whole point is that Joe Buchanan and Victor Frankenstein are the same people. They have tested, you know, they've gone too far with science and they've created catastrophic inventions, and now they have to fix it. It's all like it's an interesting character dynamic, but it's not really explored well because, again, Frankenstein just leaves the movie out of nowhere. So there's that aspect. But anyway, I do love the fun, like, time travel, like, just in the middle of Frankenstein aspect. If you're thinking like me, it kind of sounds like the plot of The Flash, of just like a character coming right in the middle of like another like story that we're familiar with, but like it doesn't have the stupid ending that everyone hates from that movie. But it does make me like just think of, what if this movie just had the same ending of The Flash, and it just like opened like a portals and you see like a Dracula, a Wolfman, and a creature from the Black Lagoon, and then like a mummy. Like, if they went that far, that would have been like, that kind of would have been funny if they just did that. That is something I always thought would be interesting. But would I recommend this over Kenneth Branagh's Frankenstein? Oh, hell yes. This is like so much fun schlock, and it's not really, it's Roger Corman. Roger Corman never really like tried to like, I guess, like fit in with like highbrow society or whatever. He just wanted to make movies the way he wanted to. He was very consistent with that, and that was all to it. And for his last movie, it's fun. But I should see more of his movies. Like, he really made a lot of movies back in like really the 50s and the 60s. And again, he was producing a lot of movies at this time. And if you guys want me to talk about another Roger Corman movie, either directed or produced, please leave it in the comments. I don't know if I'll ever have the time, because like there's like so much other like stuff coming out that I gotta make content for, but I would like to just like rank all of Roger Corman's movies. I mean, it's not that hard in the terms of like availability, because like pretty much most of them are like free on just to watch for full on YouTube. Not the best quality though. Like, I will say, like the version I watched this on, and from the clips you're seeing, it's not the best quality. I don't know if it's gotten like a Blu-ray release or not. It's kind of hard to say like who really owns the rights to Roger Corman movies or not. But I don't know if anyone has seen, but like, yeah, my Part 2 Fantastic Four review with Vito did get taken down. Not by Roger Corman though, but New Constantine, the people that did own the rights to Fantastic Four. So there's that. That was kind of that kind of sucked. But yeah, let me know what you want to watch. Watch a review for Roger Corman. And if you haven't seen this one, go watch it. It's a lot of fun. And if you like Frankenstein, it's pretty enjoyable. I really like it. So thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. If you really liked it, please subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
You think you have killed me, but I am with you forever. I am Unbound.